Killers of the Flower Moon is a Western film. It is an epic crime saga story based on the book by David Gran, Killers of the Flower Moon and the Birth of the FBI. This one is done by Martin Scorsese, who is, still relevant. His Irishman movie is just as long, in fact a little bit longer, and this movie does have an infamous running time of 3.5 hours. So this one is about Ernest Burkhart. He is a man returning from the war to work for his uncle, who tells him about the Osage. They are a tribe of Native Americans who have inherited oil land, and they get a stipend from the government, and if they can marry into any family and then make them go away, they can inherit the head rights and get lots of oil money. So Ernest is a bit of a dullard, and he falls for Molly, and then they get married, and however, misfortune starts to fall upon all of the Osage, and then there's multiple deaths. They're not investigated by the police, and it ends up turning into an epidemic. You're not sure who's on whose side. Robert De Niro is great in this movie. And then, the final maybe half hour, they introduce the FBI, who show up to sort of make sense of all the killings. So there's a lot to say about this movie. If I had to choose something I didn't like, I guess the movie is a little bit indulgent in all aspects. I mean that in the sense that the movie is a blown up budget of $200 million. It might be the most expensive Western film ever made. It is funded by Apple and Paramount, so I think the two of them had to work together to give him the money for this. And the movie, of course, is also 3.5 hours long. It is literally as long as 1959 Ben-Hur or Gone with the Wind, Irishman. He's definitely indulgent in the screen running time. And honestly, I think he wants to do that on purpose. He wishes to push audiences to that sort of discomfort of sorts. His really indulgent storytelling. I mean, there are still 3-hour movies that do well, like Oppenheimer and The Batman and Avatar 2, but I just feel like he made the movie super long on purpose, just to be like, you're going to enjoy it, you're going to watch it, you're going to like it. And he definitely didn't set out to make a commercially viable film. He wanted to make something, a story, close to his heart, and something that he's been working on forever. He wrote the script for 2 years before Leo asked him to rewrite it. And that's another thing I didn't like. Leonardo DiCaprio's character, he plays like a sort of simpleton, caught in the middle between vicious conspiracy to kill Osage for their oil money and loving husband and father. However, they try to make it nuanced, and they play around with him not knowing, or him being sort of complicit, but sort of too stupid to realize he's hurting the ones he loves. And I didn't really like that aspect, because try to make him more sympathetic as a character, and I would have preferred him trying something else. He's also trying his heart out. He's got an underbite, and he's got a pretty good performance. But I think the real gem, what I liked about this movie, is that a lot of people don't like this aspect either. Martin Scorsese brings his sort of wise guy sort of charm to this film. So you know what I mean? Like when you're watching one of his gangster films, characters have this great kind of dialogue, or there's that sort of small character that just sort of steals the show for 5 to 10 minutes. There's a lot of that in this movie, and I loved it. There's Blackie Thompson. He's like this down on his luck guy that people like to hire to kill people, and he sometimes gets in trouble because he's dumb. There's another guy who wishes to do something terrible, and he gets caught. I don't remember his name, but he's really good. He was also in The Irishman. Louis Cancelme, or probably Louis Cancelme. Anyways, he's really good in the movie too. Small role from Brendan Fraser. Doesn't do much. Jesse Plemons, not really. It's those two and the guy who plays Bill Smith. So 3 unknown actors give a gem performance in this film. I like those performances. I felt that Lily Gladstone kind of gets overshadowed because, it's based off reality. She doesn't do much, especially near the end of the film. She's a very reactive character. She's not the main character. It's they try to say she's brave or whatever, and then they just cut to her lying in bed most of the movie. And there's some pretty brutal stuff. The movie trailers make it seem like a action-packed sort of super western, but it's not really like that. Martin Scorsese has spoken about cutting down on violence and not glorifying it. So there's only small bursts of violence in this film. It's more of a sweeping epic in the vein of a western about greed and ambition and loyalty and racism. really interesting sort of overall. I do like the movie though. It does have a really nice look. There's the romance and everything. Robert De Niro is so good in this movie. Like lately, I didn't really take him seriously as an actor in the last couple of years. Stuff like his small role in New Year's Eve, or was it Valentine's Day? He's in one of those Gary Marshall movies for about 30 seconds, and he got paid a lot just for that. But he has made a bit of a comeback with Joker and The Irishman, and now Killers of the Flower Moon. He is such a good presence in this movie. He is like a snake in the grass, one of those characters that pretends to be your friend, a supportive ally, but he's like the worst one. And he just plays him with aplomb, just perfect. He's just like venomous, all these snake references, but like he just is. He's literally a person that pretends to be, your friend, but he has the exact opposite intentions for you, and not just to Native Americans, to everyone. He'll sacrifice anyone and anything to get what he wants, and that's one of his best performances, to be honest. Leo's okay. I think Leo is overshadowed by De Niro, and the stacked cast is really great too. You got some later smaller roles that I won't get into, but Killers of the Flower Moon is an example of an indulgent filmmaker. Still got it, but there's no need to go all out like this. It seems to keep making movies longer and longer, but there comes a point where you need to like calm down a little bit. He seems to be outspoken against blockbuster spectacle filmmaking, and he makes something really hard and market and make commercially viable, so it almost feels like he's shooting himself in the foot. But Killers of the Flower Moon is still a pretty solid film experience. It's definitely worth seeing in the theaters, and I give it a 7.5 out of 10.